Mouth, and welcome to Sunday's huge edition of the DCEU and Everything Else Daily. Today we're going to talk about director versus studio, which has been a big thing in the past couple of weeks, seeing what Warner Media have been attempting to do with their release plan for 2021. We'll be talking about a Superman movie and how I would do it if I was developing it. I will be looking at some stuff that Scott Edwards wants me to talk about and some fan art as well. And don't forget, you can do what Scott Edwards does and tag me over on Twitter at MoviesTVMad. If you inbox me, I'll probably ignore you. I do not like direct messages, but just tag me on my feed and suggest videos, topics, anything, and I'll give you a shout out as well. So there's a video going around of Patty Jenkins in an interview where she actually was asked about the final act of Wonder Woman 2017, the first Wonder Woman movie. And she said she actually wanted that third act to be quieter than it was, very similar to what she did in Wonder Woman 1984. But she said that the studio overruled her. So everyone's reacting to that and saying, oh my God, WB interfering again. There's someone on my Twitter feed pointing out all the films that have had studio interference in. Let's be absolutely clear here. What the old regime attempted to do to Man of Steel, BVS, Suicide Squad, and Zack Snyder's Justice League was disgusting, and it went too far. But I tell you what, if I'm putting 200, 300 million into a film, if I'm investing, I want a little bit of say-so what the public's going to see. And you know what? Sometimes the studios can be right. Because what you don't want to see as a consumer or as a fan or a geek or a nerd is a director that is totally left alone to do whatever the fuck they want. I've seen films before they're released to the public, before the studio's seen them. And they're an utter mess because no one has said, you know what, mate, maybe you shouldn't do that. And that's very, very, very important. And so my opinion of this is this. I've told you all before, I prefer Wonder Woman 2017 to Wonder Woman 84. I love Wonder Woman 84. So Wonder Woman 84, and I'm sure you've heard this, is a more quieter final act, final sequence. And so it's more of an emotional conclusion than a CGI battle. Now, lots of people criticised the third act of Wonder Woman 2017, saying it was a CGI battle with no stakes. I disagree totally. I absolutely adore the final fight with Ares. I love the fact that Steve Trevor has just sacrificed himself and Diana doesn't know whether she's coming or going, and she's got this bastard, this god, literally trying to tempt her to the dark side. And she's got Dr. Poison. She can kill Dr. Poison. She's got this big decision to make, and he's tempting her to do it. And in the end, she says, I choose love. It's absolutely emotional, but compelling and action-packed. Because you know what? I want to see CGI finale battles. I want to see superheroes fight supervillains. I love the final act of BVS. I love the final act of Man of Steel. They're great. There is nothing wrong with CGI battles at the end of movies. But there's become a bit of a stigma to it now from critics and pundits. And I really don't understand why. And so I actually am glad that the studio overruled Patty on the final act of Wonder Woman 2017. The last thing I would ever want is for it to be replaced with a quieter ending. Now, if you're asking me what do I prefer, the ending of Wonder Woman 84 or the climax of Wonder Woman 2017, it's actually quite difficult. Because the climax to Wonder Woman 84 and what she does there, all right, basically, she talks to the world. She talks to everyone. She convinces people to put aside their greed in a way. And that's not me being accurate. So there's this big emotional moment. And I mean, because, right, do you want more spoilers? Do you want more spoilers or not? Go away if you don't want more spoilers. Basically, she does lose Steve Trevor again at some point of this movie. And again, if you don't want any spoilers, she says this: I will never love again. It's an emotional, gut-wrenching moment. It's probably going to be one of my favourite movie quotes of all time. I nearly posted it on Twitter yesterday, but I thought, Mick, you're being a prick. Don't do it. Mick, you're being a prick. That rhymes, doesn't it? But you know what I mean. So she says, I never love again. So again, she's got all this heartbreak, and she's got to deal with Maxwell Lord as well as Cheetah. And so I really think the climax to Wonder Woman 84 really works, but it's not concluded with a CGI battle. There is a CGI battle in there, but there's not as much action in this movie because that's the kind of movie Patty Jenkins wanted. Patty Jenkins got to do what she wanted to do this time because of the success of the first Wonder Woman movie. But I'm going to tell you now, I prefer the first one to Wonder Woman 84. Doesn't mean Wonder Woman 84 is not a good movie. It just means I prefer the first one. The first one had the influence of Zack Snyder and the studio. And I think that helped her because she was an inexperienced director. I know she did Monster. I know she's done a lot of TV. And she's a really good proficient director. And she did a great job with the first Wonder Woman movie. And for her to come out now and say, I wanted it to be quieter, because what she's doing as well, she's very crafty, Patty, as well. She knows the critics and the media do not like the final act, the third act of the first Wonder Woman movie. So she's saying in this interview, like you, I didn't want that. I wanted it to be quieter. But that can be an issue. Even this first Superman movie that she stands to death and tries to echo a bit in her films has a much louder final act than Wonder Woman 84 does. Think about it. You've got everything collapsing around. Superman escaped from being, having the kryptonite around his neck, right? He's flying around, he's saving things, he's doing things, right? And then, yes, there is this emotional climax in terms of Lois Lane being dead and him having to go, no, but that's still kind of epic, right? And it's emotional at the same time. Now, as I say, I like the emotional climax of Wonder Woman 84, but I prefer with what they did in the first movie. And so for Patty to come out now and say, yeah, well, because what's going on right now, they're freely coming out and having a go at the old regime of WB because nobody approves of what they did to Zack Snyder, what they did to David Ayer. No one approves of that. No one, right? It was wrong. But as I say, if I'm investing money in something, in a project, right? I'm speaking to you now through a laptop, a Lenovo laptop, right? If I invest money on a groundbreaking laptop and I don't have the right to make sure it's got my okay before it goes through, then why have I invested my money? That means I've got to trust the people doing it totally. And no one is going to trust anyone that way. Totally. Now, it's interesting because Zack Snyder's Justice League, we're basically getting the director's cut of the Zack Snyder version of Justice League, right? Zack Snyder's got no one watching over him, no one telling him not to do this, not to do that, right? They're giving him his shot. So it's going to be interesting what we get because of that. Don't forget, this is an expanded director's cut of his original Justice League. So there's going to be some amazing things in there you normally wouldn't get when a studio is watching over you. This time, Jason Kilar and Ann Sarnoff have said, you know what? Because of what happened to you, we want you to do your thing. So give us your ultimate cut of this movie. So that's going to be interesting. Will Zack Snyder go too far? So I'm fascinated to see this film. I love Zack Snyder. I love BVS. I love MOS. But when there's no one watching over a director, they can get carried away. And so I really can't wait to see what we get with Zack Snyder's Justice League. But yeah, just finishing off this portion of today's DCEU and everything else daily, just really to say that I'm interested why Patty came out and said that. She obviously wasn't happy that they told her not to have a quieter ending to the final act, but also she's trying to get her tongue up the media's arse. She's very clever because she wants those reviews, right? Access Media will give certain directors they'll forgive them for certain things. And I mean, don't get me wrong, if you read the reviews, some of them are still criticising certain CGI battles, heavy battles. But you've got Cheetah. As I said the other day when I was reviewing the Mandalorian Season 2 finale, I was saying how you could do a prosthetic kind of face for a young Mark Hamill, a young Luke Skywalker, and then put just a bit of CG, but that takes time and money. So there is an element where you could have gone with a prosthetic cheetah and then just CGI'd it a little bit, but they won't do that because it's more expensive and it takes more money. Because these days they rush through films. I don't know if you've noticed, but the production of films takes a lot quicker than it did back in the day. I mean, Superman the movie took nearly 3 years to make, and that nearly broke poor Richard Donner, right? And they don't want to do that. So in modern day films, what you'll notice in all of them, you'll see some ropey CG now and again. Nothing's perfect. I think the only time I've kind of seen a film that's kind of perfect is probably the Snyder ones. Like Man of Steel is a great example of everything being so proficient. Like when the buildings are falling and Jenny and Perry are running away from it. It looks so fucking real. It feels like it's actually happening. And I've never seen effects like that proficient. Not even in the MCU movies, not even in the Avatar movies, which were groundbreaking visually, right? And so, because they rushed through these movies, I mean, there was a lot of criticism from Shazam now and again. Some of the effects, the creature effects, seemed kind of ropey and kind of more TV limited rather than made for a movie. That's because the budget was lower. Because this is what they do now. They rush through movies. And it isn't just DC. I've seen it in MCU movies as well. Everything. They rush the production through. And this is the problem now. They don't take their time as much. Because when you're working on franchises that literally have to have... let's think about it, right? In the future, in a couple of years' time, if all this COVID goes away, and who knows if it will, we could have, 3 or 4 or maybe 5 MCU and dceu movies a year. So they can't stand still. It's difficult when you're making a franchise and when you're a greedy studio, and it isn't just WB, it's Disney as well. Some of the quality will go down, and that's a shame. But personally, I prefer the final act to Wonder Woman 2017 to Wonder Woman 84. And Patty, I'm glad the studio got their version rather than yours for that final act. And I will never understand for the life of me why people don't like the third act of the first Wonder Woman movie. I started this channel because I wanted to reach out, not just to the Snyder fans, not just to kind of the live action fans or the animated fans, but to all DC fans. I'm very passionate about one thing, that all DC fans should get a version of what they like the best. Now, in terms of Superman, and I want to talk about what kind of Superman movie I'd make, and I've discussed this quite a few times, and on a Sunday now and again, because there's no news today, basically, apart from the Patty Jenkins stuff we just discussed. So it gives us time to relax and talk about what kind of Superman film that we want. And so I've discussed this before, right? So, hopefully Zack Snyder continues to do Henry Cavill's Superman. So we got that. So if I'm making my own Superman movie, I don't need to say, oh, I'm going to make a darker, edgier Superman, because he's there. He's already there. So if you like that, go over there, watch that. Don't criticize what I'm going to do, because you've got that already. So Tyler Hoechlin is going to do what he's going to do with the CW. Again, more lighter, inspirational, but a different kind of Superman, a family-orientated Superman, back in Smallville. So that's cool, right? And hopefully there are lots and lots of rumours of Brandon Routh coming back as Superman in a kind of limited HBO Max show that we'd like. And that's basically the Donnerverse, right? So it's kind of there already, right? And if I remember rightly, does he have the red shorts on? Did that suit have the red shorts on in Crisis? I can't even remember. I think he did. But, so I'm thinking about this now. If we've got this multiverse strategy going with all these different Supermen, right? What do I do? Well, I want to do something quite not different in terms of who Superman is. You see, you've got to make Superman contemporary. If you want to make a film that makes $2 billion and brings everyone together, he can't be the Superman he was in 1938, but he can still be pure-hearted. He can still have love in his heart. He can still want to save the world. He can be all those things. And then you have to look at who is Clark Kent? Who is the guy who works in the Daily Planet? Is he the clumsy kind of oaf kind of guy trying to keep his disguise going? Which I kind of like that disguise because it is an actual disguise. Is he the Henry Cavill Clark Kent? Who again I really like because he's nothing like Superman when he's in there. So I like that as well. I'm not a fan of Dean Cain's Superman, but I think his Clark Kent just doesn't have a disguise whatsoever. He's just got glasses on. He's still too cool and too cocky. But I'll tell you who's one I really like, George Reeves. George Reeves is a really assertive Clark Kent. But you still wouldn't think that's Superman. I mean, if you saw him up close, you would probably know it's Superman. So Lois and Jimmy probably should know. Maybe they do know, but off screen, they're just kind of pretending that they don't. So I think the best disguise, and I know a lot of people hate the clumsy Clark Kent from Superman the movie, but it's the best disguise. You wouldn't guess that Superman is Clark Kent. Now, in Man of Steel, what Snyder and Nolan and Goya did, which was very clever, if you notice, Superman doesn't get close to many, many people. So, for example, Jenny and Perry don't see him up close. So when he's kissing Lois, he's at a distance. So it's really difficult. You wouldn't be able to spot who he was. So there's some clever elements there. But, of course, the colonels and the soldiers see him. And so there's elements. And obviously, our Martian Manhunter, who's going to be revealed in Zack Snyder's Justice League, does see him up close as well. So it's interesting. Some people do see him up close and some people do. Some people don't. So you've got to kind of look at it. What kind of Clark Kent do I want? I want Clark. I think the secret of the success of creating a Superman film for everyone, and I think that basically there hasn't been a version of Superman for everyone since Reeves' version. So I think now we have to think about doing one that kind of brings everyone. What can you do with Superman that makes him relevant, that makes him modern, that makes him stand up taller than everybody else and all the other heroes? And I think the element of Clark Kent has to be interesting, not just the guy in the Daily Planet. We have to see him when he's younger. We have to see him. We have to see him at the Fortress. We have to see him, interacting with, let's just call it the false ghost of Jor-El, and seeing that version of him. So we have to get all these little versions right. And I think with the Clark Kent in the Daily Planet, he has to become a person. He's not human, but he has got character traits, and we can make him interesting. We can make him a little bit quirky. We can make him kind of not Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, but he can crack some jokes now and again. It's okay. It doesn't hurt the narrative, right? So my idea has always been this. Basically, my two ideas I've always wanted to amalgamate together, which is having this whole thing that in the Second World War, Superman is there and he's been around for a few years, and the governments of the world want him to kill Adolf Hitler, and he won't do it. You see, the theme of this movie is Superman's no-kill policy. That's my idea. Because of what happened with Man of Steel, with the killing and sword, and we saw how upset people were. Many people wasn't, but many more hardcore Superman fans were. So what we do is we make Superman's no-kill policy an actual commentary of the story. Why doesn't Superman kill? So what we do, we have this situation where everyone who's fighting against Hitler, all those governments want Superman to kill the Germans, to kill Hitler. It's easy. If you kill them, Superman, our problem's over. And Superman, from what I've written already, is I can't kill you for them, and I can't kill them for you. That's his stance. And he stands by that stance. And then he's under a lot of pressure from the Allies. Everyone starts turning on him because he won't kill the Germans. He won't kill Hitler. But he does help many, many resistance movements within the Second World War fight Hitler in a peaceful way. And we even see him in the flashbacks as Clark Kent trying to negotiate peace, but in a background, quieter way. But these things in the Second World War are actually flashbacks, because what's going on in the present day is that Clark works with John Corbin, who ultimately becomes Metallo. So John Corbin and Clark become very good friends, as do Lois and John become very good friends, and there's kind of a freeway kind of love story there just for the comedy element of it. But obviously Metallo rises, John Corbin becomes Metallo, and by using Metallo, making him friends with Clark, you create a very, very emotional barrier. there. And also, Metallo is a human being who's becoming a machine, right? So we bring Lex in this movie. Lex has done this. In Smallville with Metallo, the Kryptonians do this to John Corbin, which I thought that is the best live action Metallo I have seen so far. The one in Arrowverse is terrible as far as I'm concerned. But the one, I forgot, Brian Austin Green from Beverly Hills 90210. Yeah, he was a great Metallo in Smallville. I liked that. And I like that bit in Smallville when he says to Clark, "What gives you the right to alter people's lives?" I love that bit. So he's a great Metallo. So in my story, Metallo and Superman are friends. Well, no. His human side before he becomes Metallo, right? I forgot his bloody name now. But anyway, they're friends before he becomes Metallo, right? John Corbin. And so what happens is when he becomes Metallo and he starts hurting people and he's under orders to do certain things from Luthor, to do certain bad things, the world decides, the world is saying, Superman, what are you going to do about this? Now, what Lex does, he manipulates the situation so everybody wants to kill John Corbin. Everyone wants Superman to kill John Corbin, to kill Metallo. By that, what you do there is you've got the flashbacks where they want him to kill the Germans and Hitler, and you've got in the present day that they want him to kill Metallo, right? Of course, Superman, it's impossible, really, for Superman to kill Metallo. I suppose the only way would be from a distance if he can get his heat vision without him coming closer to him. Another great thing about having Metallo, he's powered by kryptonite. He has a kryptonite heart. So Clark basically can't go anywhere near him. How does he fight him? This is something I haven't got to within my script because I don't have a bloody clue how you make this good and how you don't make it stupid. How can it work? Well, obviously, I think lead can stop kryptonite. It certainly did in Smallville, if you remember. So the only way I could think about, and I don't know if they've done this in the comics before, if at the end of the movie when Superman's been beaten up and everyone doesn't trust him anymore because he won't kill Metallo, maybe he constructs an armor made of lead, right? And maybe a kind of lead helmet that you can still see his face. That kind of thing. I suppose that's the only way he could beat Metallo. And so what I like about this story, as I've already said, and I'll repeat it again, in the present day, he's refusing to kill. In the past, he has the flashback from the past because he refused to kill. And it gives you that emotional kind of gravitation to really feel for Superman's plight. And it's a bit like, and what I'm taking from this is like Superman versus the Elite. Have you ever read the graphic novel or seen the animated feature? It's brilliant. He refuses to kill, but at the end, he fakes all these people's deaths. And the villain, Manchester Black, goes, "This isn't you." After the whole film of him wanting Superman to kill, he thinks he's pushed him, but actually this bastard, for the first time, is scared to his core because now he knows if Superman's willing to kill, he's willing to kill him. Brilliant. So what I want to do in this is really have the no-kill policy there. And why Superman doesn't want to kill, right? Because I don't have any opinions about Man of Steel, killing Zod. I'm all right with it. It didn't offend me. It didn't upset me. It was a very brave, controversial thing to do. And you can see from the reaction why it was a very dangerous thing to do. And this is why I think it's important. Why doesn't Superman kill? And so we do this in this film. And the whole world's putting him under pressure in the Second World War to kill. In the modern days, to kill Metallo, his once friend. And because they were once friends, this gives Clark a bigger problem to even fight him. And so that's my idea for a Superman movie. Look, I know I'm saying this myself. I think that would really work. Metallo's human. We see a human being become a machine who's being controlled by Luthor. We see him go through that. So already we got this emphasis and empathy for this villain, but also we got an empathy for Superman, for Cal, for him being put under pressure to kill when that's the last thing he wants. And how do you fight an enemy who's poison to you, who's literally got a kryptonite heart? So it's something I've always wanted to do. That's my idea for a Superman movie. Comment down below about my idea. I know I've spoken to you about this before, but as I said, it's Sunday, not much news. I thought we'd go through it again because as you can see, Superman is my man. Superman is my character. I'd love to get my hands on a Superman movie. And you know what? I would give him the red trunks. Again, if you don't like the red trunks, you've got Cavill's Superman. You've got him already. And that's not me. By me doing this doesn't mean I don't like that. I love the Snyderverse costume. But DC is about a variety of fans, and everyone should get the Superman or the other DC characters versions that they want. Everyone should be pleased in the multiverse strategy, and they can. So I would give him the red trunks, but they have to be tastefully done. It would be fun, but you know what? You know what? I actually like the original Superman costume. I like Siegel and Schuster's original costume. So instead of this, for my movie, instead of designing a brand new costume, Superman gets to have that costume. And if maybe not for the whole movie, but at least when we see him in the Second World War in the flashbacks, he's wearing his 1938 costume. No one's ever fucking saw that in live action before. And I don't understand why. Because it's the best costume. So in my movie, that absolutely would happen. I was just thinking we should call this portion of the DCEU and everything else daily the Scott Edwards Takeover. Welcome to the Scott Edwards Takeover, who is a DC superfan who always makes suggestions about things I should talk about and fan art I should show. And he's put me onto this CBR.com article, Superman and Lois, everything we know about the Arrowverse spin-off so far. Even though this is CW and I've fallen out of love with the Arrowverse, after the first two seasons of Arrow and The Flash, I am so excited about this show because it's about this man here. And that means everything to me. Superman and Lois, everything we know about the Arrowverse spin-off so far. The latest addition to CW's Arrowverse is a series focusing on Superman and Lois Lane. Here's what has been revealed about the show so far by Nicole D'Andoro. Oh, that's a very classic name. I'm kind of aroused by that name. Superman and Lois is an upcoming Arrowverse show spinning out of the events of the Supergirl television series. The couple is married in this series, which picks up after Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event. The Superman and Lois series was originally announced in October 2019. Filming started in October 2020 and should be wrapping up in May 2021. Viewers will be taken up and away when the show premieres on the CW in February. Tyler Hoechlin and Elizabeth Tulloch will reprise their roles of Superman and Lois, respectively, from Supergirl. So I think they're numbering these. So number 10, Hoechlin will be getting a new supersuit, and isn't it beautiful? In the upcoming Superman and Lois TV show, the costume, which still maintains the red and blue colour scheme indicative of Superman, features a new belt and neckline for the cape. His shield is also smaller with darker colours. The boots have been tweaked to create a new athletic-inspired aesthetic, and the muscle structure and paint job have been upgraded. The suit was created by costume designer Laura Jean Shannon, who created the suits on the Titans and Black Lightning TV series, and she did a great job with those ones as well. Number 9, returning to Smallville. In an early teaser image for the show, Clark and Lois are standing in front of Superman's iconic symbol on the Kent family farm in Smallville. This suggested and was later confirmed that instead of just the busy streets of Metropolis, the show will be taking place where Clark Kent grew up, toiling away in the fields of the Kent farm, located in the countryside of Smallville. Plot details revealed that the couple will be returning to Smallville to finish some Kent family business. This will lead to Clark reuniting with his first love interest, Lana Lang. Now Lana Lang Cushing. By the way, I just thought about this. Wouldn't it have been amazing if Kristen Krug could have played this older version? And isn't it a shame? You know what? I know it's the multiverse and it's a different universe, but it just would have been a great continuation of the story. And I'm kind of sad they didn't do that. So number 8, the Mysterious Antagonist. This is one of the most exciting things for me, the guy calling himself the Stranger. The Kent stay in Smallville is made more complicated when they run into a mysterious figure known ominously as the Stranger, played by Wal Parks. This Stranger will be the first season's antagonist. His goal is to prove that the world doesn't need Superman. Love that concept. That there has been speculation about who this character could be. It has been suggested that the name is hiding the identity of an iconic Superman villain, or the name may be a reference to the supernatural DC character Phantom Stranger. 7. Jonathan and Jordan Kent. The Kent boys were a big reveal in the teaser scene during the end of the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event, during which scene Lois mentions Clark's sons behind the scenes. Photos posted on Tulloch's Twitter revealed Lois and Clark's two teenage sons, Jonathan and Jordan. Jonathan Kent is played by Jordan Elas, while Jordan Kent is played by Alex Garfin. Hang on again. Oh, yeah, Jordan and Jonathan. Yeah, okay. Super parents. So it's played by Alex Garfin. In the show, super parents Clark and Lois are concerned that the super sons may inherit their father's Kryptonian superpowers, so they're keeping a close eye on them. Number 6, titles for the first five episodes. The names of the first 5 episodes have been unveiled. The titles include in order: Pilot, Heritage, The Perks of Not Being a Wallflower, Haywire, and The Beacon. The first episode will be directed by Lee Toland Krieger, with a story by Greg Berlanti and Todd Helbing. Helbing also wrote the teleplay. The first season will consist of 13 episodes total, with the titles of the other 8 yet to be revealed. 5. The Cushing Family. Right, this is interesting. The Cushing Family includes former Clark Kent flame Lana Lang Cushing, played by Emmanuel Chikri from The Night Before Christmas. She will have 2 daughters in the show. The eldest daughter, Sarah Cushing, is played by Indy Navarrete. Sarah befriends Jonathan and Jordan Kent. Surprise, surprise. Her younger sister, Sophia Cushing, will be played by Jocelyn Picard. Lana is a local loan officer in Smallville whose husband, Carl Cushing, is the fire chief. Showrunner Todd Helbing further expanded on the role of the family, confirming that Lois will not be used to drive a wedge between Lois and Clark, but her daughter Sarah will create a love triangle between her and the Kent boys. I said this to you yesterday, didn't I, or the other day? It's so predictable what they're doing here. So, obviously, there's subplots. They've got to waste time somehow. Let's hope it doesn't get too grating and boring. Anyway, Lois will wear purple a lot. And I'll tell you why. Because the fans told her that's Lois Lane's colour. She listens to us. Isn't that great? I love Bitsy Tulloch. Elizabeth Tulloch's version of Lois Lane will be wearing a lot of purple, just like her comic book and animated series counterparts. In particular, Lois was constantly wearing a purple shirt and white skirt combo in Superman the Animated Series. Tulloch asked fans on Twitter to help her pick out a wardrobe for her character in Superman and Lois. The overwhelming responses were people wanting Lois in purple, which Tulloch confirmed would be the case. 3. Diggle's appearance. In an article from Entertainment Weekly, it was revealed that David Ramsey, who played John Diggle in Arrow, will be returning in episodes from 5 Arrowverse shows. Besides Supergirl, The Flash, Batwoman, and DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Diggle will be making an appearance in Superman and Lois. He will also be directing one of the first 5 episodes of Superman and Lois. For people who don't know where Diggle ended up, by the end of Arrow, he finally received the Green Lantern ring. This event had been teased and alluded to several times over the course of the series. 2. General Samuel Lane's replacement. What? Oh, did they change actors or something? Yeah, they've got General Sam Lane in this, which I'm very excited about. We've had one in live action, but they haven't done enough with this character. Previously, Lois Lane's father, General Samuel Lane, was played by Glenn Morshower in Season 1 of Supergirl. He has been recast and will now be played by Nip Tuck star Dylan Walsh. I like Dylan Walsh. This is going to be good. According to the plot description, General Lane will be looking for Superman to vanquish a villain or save the day at a moment's notice. So the two appear to be working together as allies in the series, but Helbing also revealed their relationship will be very strange since General Lane sees Superman as a threat to national security. I love it. I love it. His relationship with his daughter is also very fraught because of his job. Again, this is the stuff I want to see. I'm telling you, Sam Lane and, Thunderbolt Ross from Marvel Comics are very similar characters, and I love them both. Number 1, the family angle. Showrunner Helbing talked about how the show would stand out from other CW series. He specifically said during DC's fandom event that the main way that we're going to make this a little different is that Clark and Lois are married in this version, and they're not only married, they have 2 teenage boys. I think as a father who happens to have 2 boys, that felt like a really great way to bring in some personal experience and just to tell a really different story. So if the fans are looking for a family-centric Arrowverse show, Superman and Lois is promising to provide super family dynamic. Actually, this film is going to be many, many different things to many different people. This is clever. Shall I tell you what Todd's done here? He's looked at Smallville, and what he's doing is he wants the emotional elements to pack as much of a punch as the superhero battles and action. This is what I was explaining about Wonder Woman 84 and what Smallville used to do because they had a lower budget, just like this show will do. So what they've got is they've got the two teenage boys involved with a teenage girl, Lana's daughter. That's interesting. So there'll be some great stuff there. We had that in Smallville as well, but we got two brothers here. So that's going to be a brilliant dynamic, right? And then you've got the Stranger. Then you've got Sam, General Sam Lane as well. You've got a lot of exciting elements. Where does this put Superman? And what is the event, the tragedy that happened that makes them leave Metropolis? That excites me as well. So thanks for that article, Scott. That was brilliant, and I really enjoy reading anything about Superman. I love this question from Scott Edwards. It's a good one. It's an impossible one, but I'll try my best. That movie's Teeny Mad, and my official questions for tomorrow's DCEU Daily is how would you rank the DCEU films now with Wonder Woman 1984? And what all specifically do you think Flashpoint will change in the DC film and TV universes? Two brilliant questions. So how would I rank the DC Extended Universe movies? Right, what I'm going to do is going to tell you that Justice League, Scott, in my mind and my heart, doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. We haven't had a Justice League movie yet. In March, we're getting one. That can be in there, and we can put it as the ranking when we've all seen them. Right. And basically, let's get the elephant out of the room, right? Birds of Prey is bottom. It's bottom at the end of the day. So no Justice League, and Birds of Prey is bottom. So let's forget all about that. So Man of Steel, for me, is still my favourite DC Extended Universe movie. And Batman vs. Superman is at number 2. And then Wonder Woman 2017, and you already know how much I love that film. In some rankings, I've even put it top, which is amazing, right? But yeah, number 3. So what we got? I've got to think of all the bloody films now, haven't I? We got Shazam. We got Suicide Squad. Aquaman. Yeah. So look, I think we're going to put a Wonder Woman 1984 as 4th, right? And then I think 5 we're going to have Aquaman, and I think 6 I'm actually going to put Suicide Squad, and 7 I'm going to put Shazam, and I'd have Birds of Prey. Have I missed the movie? Because I can't remember. My mind's gone a blank. So let's go back. So we're going Man of Steel, BVS, and Wonder Woman 2017 top 3. Wonder Woman 84, number 4. I think that's fair and proper. I can't even remember what I said next, but that's my ranking, basically, and Scott, of that. Then you asked me, and I think, look, rankings are not my favourite thing to do. And I was actually talking about doing a video soon on Twitter yesterday about my DC Extended Universe top villains, and that's an interesting one as well. I suppose I can quickly do it now. Why not? We've been going for 38 minutes. We may as well go a little bit longer. So basically, my top DC Extended Universe villain has been and always will be Michael Shannon Zod. There is no beating that son of a bitch. I'm not talking about Michael. I'm talking about Zod, because Zod is literally not just a generic villain. This is a guy with a point of view, with an agenda. He was literally Superman on Krypton originally. This is why him and Jor-El were friends, right? He was a warrior. He was bred to be a warrior, but he was a pure-hearted man who just wanted to do the best for his people. When everything was going well, that was fine. But he slowly saw the leadership hurting the planet, and he could see they were making bad decisions. It's a bit like COVID-19, isn't it? If we can even say the word here on YouTube. Some people say we can, some people say we can't. Never mind, doesn't matter. We've seen the decisions some governments have taken, which have been horrific and the wrong way to go, just to protect the economy. And you do have to protect the economy because people still have to eat and live. I get that. But some of these decisions are terrible. For example, the UK had a lockdown in November, but they kept the schools open. Schools is the number one reason the virus has spread so much in the UK, and they refused to shut them in lockdowns. Now London's into tier 4, South East is in tier 4, but still I think schools will remain open till the last day of term. So it's ridiculous. Anyway, so this is what Zod saw in Man of Steel. He saw the leadership go so wrong, and he saw the cruelty and greed. They were once this illustrious society that were exploring, all these planets and all these universes, and they were getting stuff done, and Kryptonians were living on different worlds and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden they decided to stop that, and slowly but surely the core just erupted, or however the planet was destroyed. Zod had enough. And this is why he decides. I mean, it's difficult as well with Zod, isn't it? Because was his decision right or wrong? Well, Krypton's going, and he knows that. He can only do things from his own kind of history and his knowledge and what he wants to do. And yes, the way he's doing it is wrong. He believes he just needs to he needs to have a leadership with the right people, and just anyone who's weak, just get rid of them. So he's gone too far, but he's right to take action. And probably, as the way COVID is now, who knows what's going to happen to the world? The world has changed. It's frightening, isn't it? And so so much commentary there on what's going on in the real world. We see these kind of things happen in these regime changes in the Middle East all the time, don't we? And in African countries. And basically, Man of Steel with Zod are trying to do that. So Michael Shannon Zod is my number one villain. I think that Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor has to be number 2, because whether you like that version, Eisenberg's performance is so good. You totally understand that this guy is so brutally damaged from his upbringing. He's so fucked up in the head. He's an insane maniac. He's a genius, but he's insane. He's so messed up. And Eisenberg's performance gets you to see that. Jesse Eisenberg is one of the great indie actors of this generation. And for him to play Lex Luthor, to originally want to play Lex Luthor, and still to say that he wants to do more with the character, really does excite me. And so he's number 2. Now, it's very difficult for me, because it's either going to be Orm or Pedro Pascal's Maxwell Lord, the next one, at number 3. And I think this is a difficult one. I don't know. I'm going to go for Pedro Pascal at number 3. He is the man of the hour with the Mandalorian as well. And I'm gonna put Patrick Wilson's Orm at number 4, because I love that villain as well. And I've forgotten the Shazam villain's name, but I fucking love him as well. We're going to stick him at number 5, and I think Black Mask at number 6. And I've probably missed someone out and a film out. We'll have to do it properly at another time. But they're the kind of rankings I would have for my DC Extended Universe supervillains. So Man of Steel we've done. Batman vs Superman, we've done the villain for that. What about Jared Leto's Joker? Yeah. It's difficult, isn't it? Because where do I put him? Because they fucked him over. Because they edited him out. Well, look again if we ever do get the haircut. And I believe that we will. So, yeah, they're my rankings of that. Now, Scott wants to know what I think Flashpoint will change. What will Andy Muschietti's Flashpoint change in the DC Extended Universe? I said, this is going to be the controversial thing. I literally I don't know. I genuinely don't know what they're going to do, what they don't like. I think one of the worrying elements of this is that there were big rumours from a lot of the journalists and media. I'm talking about Variety and the Hollywood Reporter and people like Humberto Gonzalez. And I mean, I don't know whether to believe that guy or not. But they were saying that Michael Keaton will be the DC Extended Universe's main Batman. Which means, what happens to Batfleck in Flashpoint? Are they going to finally kill him off? And maybe Ben Affleck doesn't want to do it anymore. Maybe this is a one and done for him. Who knows? But of course, we want to see the Batman over on HBO Max. So maybe they're just going to, what they can do, Scott and everybody else, is shift Batfleck over to another universe so they can deal with that. I don't know how they're going to do it, how they do it. It's very complex. So I kind of believe that Michael Keaton may become the DC Extended Universe's main Batman. That will be interesting. So I think that's one thing that could change. It's controversial. It's going to upset a lot of people, and I don't know how I would feel about it. But mainly, Scott, the change you're going to see, and as we've already been told, it will reboot the DC Extended Universe, but nothing will be forgotten. So I believe what you're going to see is that everything we've seen so far will be maybe scattered on different Earths. It will change. People will move around. And then you've got this central Earth 1. And I believe the heroes of Earth 1, we haven't met them yet. They haven't been cast yet. And maybe that's what you're going to see. A brand new Earth 1. It's kind of at the moment we don't really have an Earth 1. The Snyderverse was supposed to be Earth 1. But Snyder's even said it himself. You know, Man of Steel, BVS and his Justice League are literally Elseworld stories now. Which means they're no longer Earth 1. So when they do reboot the universe via Flashpoint, I think the main change you're going to see, Scott, is a brand new Earth 1 with brand new superheroes, brand new versions of these DC characters that we love so much. And I can't wait to see that. So I hope that answered everything that you've got for me today, Scott. Finally, Scott's got this for me. This is a beautiful picture of Stargirl and Grant Gusting's The Flash. I believe they will be in Flashpoint as well. You're going to see everyone. And this is a beautiful piece of artwork, Scott. Thank you very much for that. And he basically says with it, at Movies TV Mad, here's some cool artwork of The Flash and Stargirl. There's talk of a crossover between these two in the future. Would you like to see? I think it will happen. What about you? Also, you should totally watch Stargirl if you haven't. Amazing show. Yes, Scott, it's about getting time, I'm afraid. I do look after my disabled dad. It's just me. I've got siblings over the UK, but they can't help. Obviously, I'm writing. I'm having Zoom meetings with the network I work for over here as well. I'm developing the first English-speaking dramas here on Cypriot TV. No, I'm not famous. I'm not a big deal, but I am working here via a network to try and break some ground. So the expats over here can have something English-speaking and entertaining to watch. So there isn't a lot of time, but I will check out Stargirl because I have heard some good things about it. I would like to see a crossover between The Flash and Stargirl. It will happen. You're probably not going to get it in this upcoming season that they're filming because of COVID. But hopefully in the future, that will happen. And do look out for Stargirl and Gusting's The Flash in Andy Muschietti Flashpoint movie. And wouldn't that be awesome to see? And finally today, welcome to the Everything Else part of the DCEU and Everything Else Daily, where I really want to talk about Star Wars, because since Lucas's original trilogy, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, that everybody universally loved, right? What Lucas did with it was amazing. Ever since that, anything Lucas did was derailed, apart from the Clone Wars, right? And Rebels, that he was kind of involved with as well. But like the prequels, people hated the prequels. Again, not everyone hated the prequels. There was a lot of people like me who loved the prequels and understood what George was trying to do. But as usual, hate is heard and love isn't. That's the problem. So let me explain to you why I love the Star Wars prequels. Because prequels, there's no glory in making the story before the story. Smallville got a lot of hate for doing a prequel version of Superman, and it was. And it wasn't a prequel to any live-action existing universe, but it was a prequel. It was the story before Superman becomes the story. Do you understand? So sometimes, you know, hardcore Superman fans would really slaughter Smallville. Why is Lex Luthor in Smallville? Why doesn't he never wear the costume? Firstly, why should he wear the costume? We're not telling the Superboy story. We're telling the story of Clark Kent and as an ordinary young man discovering who he is and slowly becoming Superman more and more every time you see him. So why should he wear the costume apart from in the finale, which he should have done? But we do see him kind of wearing the costume. At least we got that. And then kind of the accusation of Lex Luthor shouldn't be in Smallville then. You're actually wrong, because Superboy and a young Lex Luthor did meet each other in a Superboy 1960s comic, right? Basically, starting off as friends, and then a chemical accident makes Lex bald in the comics, and then he announces his hatred and jealousy of Superboy. So it was already there already. But just because something hasn't been done before, it doesn't mean you can't tinker with things, as long as it's in a great way. So the people who hated the prequels, when I was sitting in the cinema, first time I viewed The Phantom Menace, I heard this, well, there's no Han Solo character, there's no this. People have an expectation of what they're going to see. It did, The Phantom Menace, no question, lacked personality. But it lacked personality. It lacked the personality that the original trilogy had, purposely, because this is the Jedi at their pomp. The Jedi don't crack jokes. The Jedi don't have a personality. It's just, yes, master, no, master, yes, master, yes. That's what it is. That's what they are. This is the universe, whether you think it's boring or not. That is the universe he created in 1977. Or if you want to be factual, in 1973 when he started writing it. So that was the world he created. Then the hatred for Jar Jar Binks was irrational, attacking the actor, who's one of the great actors. He did a great job with Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar was for the kids. And even I enjoyed Jar Jar, right? He's just there for comedy. He's all right. But everyone hated him, right? And nearly pushed the actor to suicide. Despicable. Are you fans or are you supervillains? But anyway, I liked Jar Jar. I understood what George was trying to do with this first chapter. Now, interestingly enough, when I first saw Hayden as Anakin, I said, what a shame that Hayden couldn't have played a slightly younger teenage version in The Phantom Menace. But then I always understood why Jake was playing Anakin in The Phantom Menace, because basically George wanted to bring a brand new generation into buying Star Wars toys, buying Star Wars films and TV. That's why Jake Lloyd was the younger Anakin. I think everything Jake did in that film was tremendous. I think he played a really good role. Listen, from what I heard, Jake was really difficult to direct. It was very difficult for George, and I know that. He was a young boy. It was difficult. But when people say George Lucas can't direct, you go and see Jake Lloyd's performance. Forget what you've heard about the behind the scenes. See Jake's performance. Especially when the kid's doing the pod race. He looks amazing. He's doing a great job when he's pushing the buttons. He actually looks like he knows what he's doing. So actually, I thought Jake, in the final cut of The Phantom Menace, did a great job. But he's a kid, and kids can be difficult, right? Especially ones who are told they're the best, they're the best, they're the best. They're spoiled, it goes to their head. So, George had a big challenge. But it doesn't mean the kid deserved to be bullied. And I mean, when we see what's happened to the kid now, it's very, very sad, because he should have had a great career. He was in the last action. No, was he in the last Action Hero? No. He was in Arnie Schwarzenegger's Jingle All the Way. Great in that as well. He was a great little child actor. And I really hope Lily Aspel, who plays young Diana in the Wonder Woman movies, is protected a lot more than that. So I understand. Let's go to the pod race. The pod race is one of the best things in fucking Star Wars ever. What is there to hate about the pod race? And everyone hated all the CGI. The whole point of the prequels is this is the Jedi, and this is the Republic at their peak. There's no damaged buildings. Everything's clean and pristine. Everything's dirty and damaged in the original trilogy because everything's gone to shit. It's a bit like, basically the prequels are pre-COVID, if you like. And then the original trilogy is when COVID strikes and the world's gone to shit, if you like. Oh, that's our world now, right? We've become Star Wars, right? But anyway, and so this is why everything's clean and it's all CGI. I loved it. I loved the CGI in Lucas's prequels. I think he did a great job. Some of the CGI looks a bit too bright and stuff and a bit dated because it was done when it was done. But I still think it looks amazing. The pod race still looks sensational. And I love the pod race. And so I love the Phantom Menace, and I understand what it's trying to do. It's trying to sow in all the seeds. And, meeting Palpatine and, and seeing, from the off what Palpatine is. And I love that. And then you get Attack of the Clones, where we meet Hayden Christensen's version of Anakin. Again, why did Hayden get hate for his performance? watching both his performances in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, I always thought to myself, this guy hasn't done very much. He's got a bare CV, nothing on him. I thought he did a tremendous job as young Anakin. Seeing how raw he was as well, I think he was a great choice. He worked, and I love his version of Anakin. Again, I don't understand the hate. As I say, there's no glory in making prequels because you're telling the story of the story people love. So the prequel story, nobody's going to love because you're telling a story nobody's asked you to tell. But George felt like he wanted to tell it. And personally, I'm glad that he did. One thing, I think they're three great movies to do a great job telling us how Darth Vader becomes Darth Vader. But it's also great for, I think, Ewan McGregor's performance as Obi-Wan Kenobi through the four movies is absolutely spectacular. I really do, and I can't wait to see the Kenobi series. So I like the prequels, and I like the fact that they did the Clone Wars and Rebels. And now all of a sudden, after the mess that is this sequel trilogy, and I think the sequel trilogy started okay with, The Force Awakens. I thought that was a great start, even though it wasn't very ambitious, and it was kind of going over old ground. I think that first film did set up great threads, and if JJ remained on the project full time, I think it would have been a great sequel trilogy. And they made a mistake by not having George there on the set. Like, John and Dave have got George on the Mandalorian set, and he's involved with all those TV shows as a consultant. So that's great. And by the way, George has been speaking very openly and freely about people who don't like certain things he did with Star Wars, which is great as well. So it looks like he's got a lot of power in the universe. Again, this is why it's turning out so good on Disney+. And so all of a sudden, there's this positivity around Star Wars. Now, we saw the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian. 99% was great. And I can forgive them for the ropey CG on Luke Skywalker. Mark's come out and said that they'd done that a year ago and nobody knew. What I find amazing about The Mandalorian, before an episode is dropped on Disney Plus and it streams, nobody knows what's actually going to happen in the episode. What that proves is that things that are leaked from the industry are leaked on purpose for publicity. And when they don't want something to be leaked, it doesn't get leaked. That's how I see it. It's like an actress has come out now saying Tom Cruise shouting at the crew of Mission Impossible 7 was a publicity stunt. No shit, Sherlock. So I'm really excited for Star Wars. And I just really wanted to talk to you about my love for the prequels and how I loved them. And again, I think George was harshly dealt with. I think he did a great job, and it's a shame no one wanted him involved in the sequel trilogy, because if the sequel trilogy was written and directed by George Lucas, where would Star Wars be now for Disney? A lot higher than it is. But you know what? It's a bit like the DC Extended Universe now. We're getting Flashpoint. We're getting Zack's Justice League. It's kind of good it turned out the way it did, because now they're going to leave these creatives to do the right things instead of interfering with them in terms of Star Wars, in terms of the DC Extended Universe. So I'm really excited for both franchises. Well, we're nearly at 60 minutes. This is nearly an hour video. I went on a bit, didn't I? So please comment down below. Like, share and subscribe. Please tag me and follow me over on Twitter @MoviesTVMag. And I will be back tomorrow with even more DCEU and everything else daily. See you again soon.